There is some big news coming out of the IMF and the World Gold Council that I think is going to be a game changer for the gold market. It is quite a shock. I'll explain what happened and what we can expect with gold's price as we explore. I think the data that I'm about to share with you bolsters the case for $5,000 gold coming soon. And I think I'm more confident than ever before about that because, well, there has been a massive amount of buying by central banks around the world in the month of September. It's pretty big news, yes, indeed. And, when I think about gold and what central banks are doing with it, it reminds me of what I'm doing, and I have been doing since 2017. I made a marked decision to buy more gold because I think that gold is the ultimate safe haven. I believe in silver for sure, but there's some point in time in your stacking journey where you do mature to gold. I believe it's good to diversify, and you can start out by getting these little 1 gram bars from Summit Metals. They have these little cool wallets that you can get not only for these gram bar sizes, but also for tenth, quarter ounce, half ounce, also gold eagles, and other coins that are near the same diameter. So check out Summit Metals for a great customer service, fast shipping. The link to go to their website is in the description of this video. Now, central banks have reported 39 tons of net purchases in September via the IMF and other public data sources. This is massive. This buying was up 79% month over month and is the highest month of reported net buying in 2025 so far. Now, I don't know if this was expected or not, but this is a big deal. Yes, indeed. 39 tons of net purchases. Now, gross purchases are 43 tons, and of the gross sales of 4 tons. So I guess that means it's like that's what's been moved in and around certain nations. Some have sold as well. We'll get into some of that data as well, too. And so it's pretty amazing. The 12-month average is 27 tons, by the way, according to what they're looking at now with September's numbers coming in. And 200 tons reported net buying year to date. So across these, so that's a pretty big deal. Yes, indeed. And so they've reported 200 tons of net gold buying. Now, the September changes by country, I think, is an even bigger deal. Now, some of you may remember that I talked about this in a previous video or two, how we're starting to see a shift more towards Western nations buying gold. And I think that is something we're witnessing more and more. And these data that are coming out for now in September are really making that case even more profound. That's right. The Central Bank of Brazil was the largest buyer during the month. They bought 15 tons of gold. That's huge. 15 tons of gold by Brazil. That seems to come out of left field, although I've not seen some of the other data. We'll look at some other data and see exactly how it plays out from the year-to-date changes. But that's the whole Western Hemisphere. The Western world itself, we're starting to see more. We've talked about Poland. I'll get into Poland in a moment. But the Czech Republic added 2 tons, and that is a pretty big deal. And Kazakhstan, which is sort of borderline, I think that crosses two continents there, they added 8 tons. Turkey added 2 tons, and Ghana has added a ton. That really shouldn't surprise us because Ghana is a pretty big producer, and I've talked about how they are wanting to add more and doing more to add gold to their reserves as well, too, so that's good to hear. Uzbekistan is the only nation that has sold this month, or in September. For the month of September, they sold all 4 tons. That's a pretty big drop for Uzbekistan. China only added a ton for the month of September, and Russia added 3 tons, which in some ways surprises me a little bit because I figured they couldn't afford it because they're buying munitions and the like for the war effort there and with all the sanctions. But they're able to get more gold into their portfolio and into their vaults. Now, National Bank of Kazakhstan, Bank of Guatemala were also significant buyers for the month, while purchases elsewhere were modest by comparison. And so that's the one where we saw Uzbekistan sell off a good portion, 4 tons of their holdings. Let's talk about year to date. But before we get to the year to date sales, let me just impress upon you that since 2022, we have seen a record amount of gold buying by central banks, and it is not letting up. This has been the biggest reason why gold's prices have steadily climbed over the years. And these dips that we've been seeing, I think they're going to be temporary, especially after these data have been released, and likely it's not going to slow down. Reported global net purchases total 200 tons year to date, slightly lower than compared to the same period in 2024, which is 215 tons. National Bank of Poland remains the largest reported net buyer in 2025 so far, by a long shot, and they are in the West. Well, they're Eastern Europe, but still probably considered more Western nation. And they added 67 tons. That's right. And you've heard me talk about them before. 67 tons of gold added this year by the Bank of Poland. They are killing it. Pretty amazing. And the fact that there's no reported sales to Poland so far in September that we see. But who knows? We'll see when the October numbers come out if they've added a bit more. But they bought their more than fair share, that's for sure. And then Kazakhstan is second place with just under 40 tons. And then Azerbaijan, they bought 38 tons. So yes, indeed, they're the 3 biggest buyers. And then the Czech Republic is next, with Turkey very, very close behind them. And then the Czech Republic, and now Brazil is in the game in the top 10 for sure. Iraq also has been adding some gold to their portfolio. Uzbekistan is the biggest seller of gold so far, with 20 tons, just over about 21 tons sold this year. They must be in a world of hurt. Singapore has also sold off a fair amount. And the Russian Federation has net sales. They've pulled back some. They've recovered, though, by buying 3 tons this year and getting them close. And then, of course, Germany as well has sold off a little bit, but they're the second largest gold holder in the world. And so they've only sold off a little bit. But I think this move by Brazil is telling us something, folks, something big, that and especially coupled with everything else, with much more buying, breaking this September here move by expectations up here by, that number of 79% increase month over month, I think is a big deal. And I think this is going to reflect in the price for sure. And I think that means that if there's going to be any more pullbacks in gold, it's going to be minimal at best. I think that $4,000 range is probably a number we're going to see fairly comfortably staying above that soon after much of this information is digested and other metrics that are coming into play are just showing that gold is really what's holding on. So if you bought gold before it spiked up, you're doing pretty good. And I think we're going to hold on to some of these gains for quite some time now. Now, I do not see a situation now, unless we see a whole lot of selling, that's gonna increase, and which nobody is predicting that's going to happen. So I think we're doing just well with gold. It's been an amazing ride, and I'm telling you, I think this is going to change the gold market, and I think it's going to mean that we're going to see prices move up in 2026 fairly considerably. For sure. Now, I've not officially given my price prediction for 2026 yet. I do that usually at the very end of the year or the beginning of the next year is when those predictions go in. I do them just for fun, but as is with any case from any analyst out there with their predictions or even just a layperson like me giving them, it could be wrong for sure. But so far, every time I've made a prediction on gold, it's come true. So I don't know, but we'll see. But it's been pretty easy to make them because all the data and all of the metrics and the fundamentals for gold have been so strong for so long. How can you not be bullish on the metal? Honestly, it's crazy. But there it is, and these numbers really just kind of blew me away. I was really surprised to see they come in so hot. I figured they would pause at least for a little bit, but that has not happened. They're continuing to buy. No sign of slowing down. But let me know what your thoughts are about gold and where its prices are, and what do you think about this central bank buying, and how empowering is it? Even if you own just a gram or a couple of grams of gold, you've already set yourself apart from most of the of society, honestly, here in the West, by holding gold in your possession. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below. I hope you found this video informative, insightful, and educational. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.